Hello, we're back again. So in episode 1, we talked about the silence before the storm. So I thought it only appropriate to now in episode 2 discuss the fast market, the polar opposite. So you remember the silence, right? The strange, unnatural calm before the figure. You know, we've got 200 traders plus packed in like sardines and not a sound. Right, let's develop that. Then the number hits and everything breaks. There's a split second when everyone reacts, but no one actually knows, right? It's like 250 meerkats standing up all at the same time, looking over the parapet, trying to figure out what's coming next. And then boom, noise, movement, absolute chaos. But here's the thing most people don't understand. It still didn't make sense to the traders that were in the pit. Let me explain. The market could be 14 bid and someone else is offering 10s. 2 feet away, someone else is offering 9s when it's 14 bid, right? Ask yourself, does that make any sense? The answer, no, it fucking didn't. And it didn't to the traders in the pit either. You see, a local caught those nuances, those indiscretions, and they manipulated it. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? Locals, by the way, they trade with their own money, paper fillers, fill paper for companies, okay? So anyway, in that situation, this is where a local could and would make money, where they identified the mismatch, right? So, in that situation, you don't think, you act. Buy the 10s, sell the 14s. That's 4 ticks in the market, right? And depending on what volume you've bought, that could actually be enough to say thanks very much and bugger off home for the day. And let me remind you here, right, that could have happened in a matter of seconds or a couple of minutes, right? And they're done. They're done for the day. They might have made 10 grand out of that trade in a couple of seconds and they'll go, thanks very much. One trade, really cost effective, minted, thanks, I'm going home. I'm going to play golf. And that's how the locals operated. They lived in that chaos. They fed off those inefficiencies. And if you could see it before anyone else, essentially you got paid that day, right? Now for a paper filler, the pressure was extreme because the booth was going absolutely mental. Phones being smashed on top of the booths to get the attention of the traders. You know, a worthy point to make here is in a booth, depending on the size of the company, you could actually have anything from 1 to 6 phone brokers. Now, each of those brokers is likely to have 2 phones, one in each ear. One, he might be reporting price live to a bunch of clients. The other phone, he might have a client actually on the phone looking to do a trade, right? So that's slamming these phones down on top of the metal tops of the booths. And on top of that, shouting and screaming and swearing at the top of their voices, desperately trying to get the attention of the traders, get the order in the pit. And that was important because the minute they had given the order to the pit, it wasn't their fucking responsibility anymore. They didn't need to worry about it as much, right? Then they just needed to deal with like tempering the client's frustration at not getting the fill straight away, okay? And then you've got your backup trader. In my case, my buddy Adrian, right? And he's having pretty much nothing short of a whitey, to be honest. He's got so many orders being thrown at him, he doesn't know which one to give me first. Because his job is not only to read the market, but also to work out which orders to give me next and where we're at as a collective. You see, you have to understand one thing. There's no perfect decision in this situation. There is just decision. And whilst you're getting trades done, it's likely you're getting no time at all to write anything down, which creates this kind of void of danger, because if you can't remember a trade later on, and you've maybe traded with a local and the other side of that position is against them, they're not going to be in any rush whatsoever to get that trade input. Do you get what I mean? What a local would often do is wait to see if anybody puts a trade into them first, because if they can get away with not inputting the trade, they will, because it's going to save them a shit ton of money, right? You got to understand, it's dog eat dog, no illusions. If someone could get away with not declaring a bad trade, they would. So now you're not just trading, you're tracking as well. Some hand signals, right, they couldn't be put into the pit because the order was too big. And if you actually kind of executed that hand signal into the pit, pretty much most of the pit would have seen it. And then what you'd get is a load of fucking front runners, right? Now let me digress quickly and explain a front running situation. This is where somebody else sees the order come in, they think, holy shit, that's massive, that's going to drive the market down, so they quickly nip in and sell something in front of you. They then let you go in and bulldoze everything, drive the price down, and then basically they step in at the bottom before it bounces back up and they buy it back. Profit, thanks very much, job done. So that's front running, okay? Accurate execution was everything. So in amongst all that deafening noise, all that shouting and swearing and screaming, internally you had to be calm. Now I'm not saying relaxed here, I'm saying controlled, almost like you stepped out of yourself watching it happen. Calculating, executing, because if you lost that, you were done, right? One thing you wouldn't want to happen during a fast market is to get shoved down into the middle of the pit by accident, because the chances are, if that happened, all your cards would pop out your trading jacket and go flying, and with the mess of the trading floor covered in paper anyway, that kind of accident, as trivial as it might seem, could actually cost you everything, because ultimately you wouldn't have time to fix it. You know what I mean? When I worked for Garbam, we often traded anything from 10 to 20 plus thousand lots a day, and traders were expected to remember every single trade. And in a fast market, I could easily trade probably 2/3 of my entire daily volume in probably a window of 15 to 30 minutes. So I'm in there 7 hours for the day, but I do like between 10 and 15,000 lots of my trading all in the space of half an hour. And that kind of gives you maybe an idea of how intense that situation could possibly be. And the other thing I'd like to add there to really kind of build the picture for you is you've got to remember that one order, say that's 1,000 lots, you might actually end up trading with 30 people to fill that order. So that's lots of random numbers. The mnemonics, which was the badge, and I could show you that at some point, the badge everybody had to wear, you had your own personal mnemonic. Mine was PUR. So, when you're filling in your order cards, you would have the mnemonic, the month, the price, and the amount. I don't think I've missed anything there. And you might have to fill that out quite a lot, depending on who was offering up what when you stepped into the market to do your thing, right? So you have to remember who you traded with, what size and what price predominantly. And that's where I came into my own, because probably my age more than anything, when being younger, memory, tracking and precision was my bag. And I mentioned earlier that some locals might sit on trades that they didn't want to necessarily input. And in these instances, you would request to take it to arbitration. This consisted of requesting to look at videos with a life official, and if memory serves me well, possibly a pit committee member to act as like a third party kind of liaison. And what you do is you'd book a room, you go off, and the life official would play you back videos from all different angles. And believe you me, it was actually very obvious if you traded with each other, because the angles of so many cameras, you would definitely be able to spot it. With that said, the speed of trading, and writing things up had to be precise. I mean, that was absolute paramount. It was all about speed and precision, and actually probably a little bit of aggression as well. And they were the three kind of things that I think everything else hinged on, to be honest. And I think that's probably why Kevin put me in as a front trader on the Bun Pit, because I had an appetite and a little bit of aggression to see that. To see it right, to make sure we didn't, well, I suppose, to be blunt about it, get fucked over, and that we actually managed to get every order completed, okay? It's safe to say, when fast market got declared, the rules didn't bend. They disappeared, right? And if you couldn't operate inside that chaos, well, you just didn't last, I hope that gives you an insight to the fast market of the futures exchange. Episode 3 is going to be coming out shortly and is about how, as traders, we communicated without words. Be well, be safe. Until next time, right?